Okay, council, it's 7 o'clock. I call the meeting to order. Will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Thank you. Ms. Martinez?
All councilors present and a quorum has been declared.
All right, thank you. Up next, we have the agenda approval. Councilor Krebs?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, please start voting. Ms. Martinez?
The motion carried unanimously.
Okay. Up next on the agenda, we have citizen comments. This is the segment of the agenda where if we have anyone in the audience who would like to make some comments, you'll come up to the podium and make your comments. We do ask that you keep your comments to within 3 minutes. If you're still talking at the 3-minute mark, I would politely ask you to wrap it up, and then we'll turn everything over for the next person to come up there and speak. Ms. Martinez, I don't have any comment cards.
I don't have any comment cards either, Mayor.
Okay, so if we could, since we don't have any comments cards, we'll go ahead and go to the Zoom participants. And if you don't mind, Ms. Martinez, sharing with them how they can raise their hand so we can recognize them if they would like to make any comments during this time.
Yes, sir. If you're on the Zoom app and you want to speak right now, you'll use the raise hand feature in the bottom of your screen. If you're on a telephone, you'll dial *9. I don't see anyone choosing to raise their hand, Mayor.
Okay, I don't see any hands raised either, so we'll go ahead and close the citizen comment section. And we'll move on down the agenda to ceremonial items. Oath of office for our new city council member, Jamie Dominguez. So before we start, we usually allow our new council members to say a few words, especially when they have family in the audience. And we're gonna turn it over to our new city councilor, Jamie Dominguez. Go ahead, sir.
I just want to thank everybody who's been supporting me on my journey. I never thought 15 years ago I would be up here. If it wasn't for my wife and my family and a lot of people in the community who trusted in me on some of the decisions I've made with my civic engagement activities and my philanthropy work, I wouldn't feel comfortable enough to sit in this position. So, and all the support from all the fellow councilors and everybody else who've been on the onboarding process, it's been really it hasn't been too hard for me yet. So, but I know it's about to get hard. So thank everybody who's been supporting me, and I'll do my best.
All right, thank you. Thank you and welcome aboard. We're really excited to have you on the team. Okay, we're gonna go with the next item is consent calendar A. Councilor Vijo,
Mayor, I move that we approve consent calendar A.
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, there you go. Please start voting. Ms. Martinez?
The motion carried unanimously.
Okay, good, good. That brings us to the next item on the agenda, regular business, board commissions business, Community Recreation Board Annual Update. Mr. Johnson?
Good evening, council. Thanks for having me. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of our Park and Rec department. It's been a year since our last update, so we have lost a couple of our members since last year. I'll go through them real quick and thank them for their service. Amy Ortega and Paul Duarte were really key members to our board, and both of them have since moved on. We've replaced them with John Adams and James Slovak. And also our city council appointee, longtime member of the rec board and supporter of the rec board, Charlie Griego. Like to thank him for his service and keeping good communication between you guys and us. I think things go way smoother when we have that good communication, and I believe Charlie did a really good job of keeping you guys informed of what we're doing, so we didn't have any surprises. We do want to welcome Councilor Hensley, our new appointee. We're all looking forward to working with you, and we're excited because we know you have good recreation background and your interest in recreation. Moving on, we do want to thank you for your appointees you've given us in the recent past, because the board we have is very diverse. It feels like almost everybody has a little bit different background in recreation. So when we're discussing a matter, there's expertise or knowledge at the table, from whether it's disc golf or basketball or bicycling, trails. We always have somebody in the room that knows quite a bit about that subject, and that's kudos to you guys for appointing a diverse group of people on our board that keeps us, everybody, we don't have one interest. It's multiple interests on the board, which makes a very good board. I'm going to cover some of our highlights and some of our projects were our main projects and goals for this year, and then I'll mention at the end what we're looking forward to. First, I'd like to say that the board, we continue to strive to match what the city is pushing forward. And an example of that, of one of the city priorities, is an $80,000 dedicated in 2024 to the Alamosa Riverfront project and the Independent Ditch Diversion Replacement project. And I'll cover a couple of them as we go. Our goals for this year, we're going to pilot an irrigation project in Cole Park that'll save water, time watering systems. It'll save with labor, and hopefully it'll improve the turf on Cole Park, because as we all know, that's the traffic during the summer on Cole Park is fairly heavy, and finding the times to water it correctly. So this is going to help us manage that, and hopefully that works well. Also, we're going to, as I mentioned before, the independent ditch diversion improvement and complete the Blanca Vista dredging we're gonna move forward on those projects. We're gonna continue progress on the riverfront project. Finalize the grant agreement and further designs for the new pedestrian bridge. We are looking forward to a successful start and the new community park adoption program. Try to outreach to the community groups and get clubs involved. Redo our weight program, our weight circuit at the rec center, and acquire a new Zamboni or used, depending on what we can come up with financially. And we want to finish LED conversion in Carroll Park tennis courts and add permanent pickleball net or two at Boyd Park. And in the future, we're looking forward to progressing the master plan, funding implementation, and acquiring easements to connect our community and trails and other recreation things moving forward. We want to do a study converting the leaf fields to LED lighting, improve the park lighting, and after our study with the whole park irrigation system, maybe move forward and plan on doing that in all the parks. And then continue to leverage the city funds for grants. And as you all know, the rec staff has done a terrific job leveraging money to continue these programs. I'm sure you guys hear about it all the time. They're really, really good at getting grants for upgrading our community rec and leveraging every dollar they can to get us better programs and better facilities. And that is all I'm going to cover tonight. Any questions?
Sure. So what we'll do is we'll turn over to council, and I think I see Councilor Hensley mic on, Councilor Carson's mic on, and then Councilor Vio. So if we can start with Councilor Hensley first.
Well, thank you very much for the report. Obviously, I knew when I was signing up for this that it's a very active and vibrant group and lots of great things that happen. And I definitely have big shoes to fill because I know Charlie did a phenomenal job. But I am looking forward to working with the team and the exciting things that are going to go forward.
Thank you. We're looking forward to having you.
Thank you, Councilor Hensley. Councilor Carson and Councilor Vio, Jan Vio.
Rusty, I'm not sure if this is a question for you or if it'd be for Harry, but I was reading on the new bill that they're trying to get through legislation on like non-trafficked grass. And so just kind of throwing that out there for you guys to take note of if we have any of those places, or if you see any in the city that we may address. Cause I think hopefully that gets some traction. I think it's kind of a waste to have non-trafficked grass too, especially now. But just be mindful of that. And I guess it wasn't really a question, but I don't know if you guys have heard of the bill. And if you haven't, look it up. I can probably try to get the bill number and send it to Heather, and then she could send it out. But it's coming down the pipe. And so it'd be cool if we could get ahead of that. It's just, I don't know if any of you guys have seen anything on it, but it's, I think it might be helpful. Maybe not a huge impact, but at least a good gesture for sure,
Sure, that's nothing we've discussed yet. So, but going forward, if it's something that hits our radar, that's something that can improve our park and rec, we would definitely look at it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, push it. Okay. I want to say, obviously, we need to take a look at it, but this might be one area where the city was a little bit ahead in that we had, I want to say 8 years ago, the Water Smarts project, to where we had a team kind of take a look at what parts aren't being used and changing them out, type of situation. And so obviously there's probably still some areas in the language in the bill could guide some more. But we do have some of those ideas. We were able to implement some, and then some of them were just more expensive as well, but it'll be interesting to look at that.
Okay, Councilor Jan Vio.
Thank you, Mayor.
Welcome.
Rusty, just want to tell you and your group, thank you for all that you do. Our rec department has grown by leaps and bounds over the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years, just exponentially. Can you comment a little bit about visions or changes or anything, any happenings at the disc golf course?
The disc golf just continues to be something, a big attraction. I don't think anybody foresaw this coming. They continue to grow, they continue to do more equipment, they added holes in the last year. And we have some people on our rec board that are connected with that. I'm not an expert on the disc golf. All I know is that they're doing very well. They do tournaments during the summer, and it's something that's doing way better than projected. And from your first comment, we thank council for the support. We can't do what we do if you guys don't support us. So we thank you for the support you give us, and pushing forward grants is the most, the best thing you can do, and good communication and giving us good plans to move forward direction. And you guys are doing a good job of that.
I just want to add a tiny bit. Mr. Johnson touched on this, but to really, this is one of the areas for disc golf where a lot of what you see out there is from the volunteers, from raising funds and putting some of the infrastructure in and all of that kind of stuff. So it really is one of those amenities that if the community hadn't really come around it and done the volunteerism, we wouldn't have what we have either.
Okay, I don't see any other mics on, so I'll just wrap things up. Mr. Johnson, we want to thank you so very much for the presentation,
Thank
the
you.
detailed information. Thank you so much for the time you spend on the rec board. You're always there and making your presence known and sharing a lot of helpful information.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. You take care. Okay. All righty. So that brings us back to the next item on the agenda. Business brought forward by city staff, development services, request for a building permit fee waiver for Alamosa County. There you go.
Good evening,
Ms.
Mr.
James.
Mayor and members of council. So I'm here on behalf of Alamosa County. They applied for a building permit for their Veterans Memorial Park. There are ramps and sidewalks that meet the threshold that require a building permit in our department. And according to the 2018 building codes, the fee was $1,833.75. And they did request a waiver. So I'm here on their behalf to ask council to consider waiving these fees. It both goes towards the Veterans Memorial Park, but also is a thing that we can do for Alamosa County as our, our respective jurisdiction. And because we serve the same taxpayers. I did also want to highlight that this is would be the second contribution that city council has made towards the Memorial Park, because there was a one-time donation of $3,000 made last year. So that's all I have.
Okay, Council Carson?
If you guys have no discussion, I'd just make a motion that we go ahead and waive this permit.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes.
Just real quick, Charlie Grego used to be on that board or used to be the liaison with the city to that. And he's not here anymore. I think it'd be, could we get one of us on there just to be on the happenings and what's going on out there?
I'll volunteer for that. I can reach out to the county. I think it's a community group. I think that although the county's sponsoring it and it's on county property, I think a lot of it's been a grassroots effort by I don't know what the citizens group is, but I'm happy to reach out to the county administrator and see if we can get Councilor Krebs in Charlie's spot.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah, so it wasn't an official relationship. Charlie, through his other hats, was on there. So just to make that clear, but we can help connect that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. No further discussion. Please start voting. I think we're missing one. Tell you what, can we get everybody to push their buttons again? So there you go.
Thank you.
The motion carried unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Brings us to the next item on the agenda. Under City Manager Legal, second reading and public hearing for ordinance number 1-2024, an ordinance amending Alamosa's fair campaign practices.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, as you know, the state's Fair Campaign Practices Act covers a number of issues regarding fair campaign practices, primarily disclosures of contributions and things like that. The state act does provide that if a home rule municipality has its own Fair Campaign Practices Act that covers the same topics, then the Home Rule Municipalities Fair Campaign Practices Act is the one that governs campaigns in that municipality. So Alamosa does have its own Fair Campaign Practices Act. Our ordinance governs the elections that happen for the city. And effective January 1 of this year, the state in its Fair Campaign Practices Act instituted contribution limits for municipal elections. This is the first time the state has had those. We haven't had those in our act either. For completeness' sake, we should address the issue. So we should either make clear that we will continue not to have any, as has been the case up until this time, or if we want to have some, we should put them in our act so that our act remains complete and there's no question about whether we're subject to a state limit. We want to address the issue one way or the other. Council did have a work session on this back in July. And at that point in time, the sense of council was we didn't see any reason, you didn't see any reason to change the historical practice of no campaign limits. So that's the way this ordinance is drafted. But you could amend that and change that and put some limits in if you wish.
Okay, thank you for that overview. So at this time, we'll open up the public hearing for ordinance number 1-2024, an ordinance amending Alamosa's fair campaign practices. If anyone in the audience would like to come up to the podium to voice your concerns, please do so at this particular time. Okay, it doesn't look like anyone from the audience is going to come up, so we'll go ahead and turn it over to Zoom. Ms. Martinez, if you could share with the Zoom participants how to be recognized if they want to participate in this public hearing.
Yes, sir. If you want to if you want to speak right now, you use the raise hand feature in the bottom of your screen. If you're on a telephone, you'll dial *9. No one's choosing to raise their hand, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Martinez. So I'll go ahead and close this public hearing, turn it back over to council for any further discussion, or if you feel like making a motion, feel free. Councilor Vihil.
Mayor, I move that we approve on second reading ordinance number 1-2024.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, please start voting. Okay, all righty. Ms. Martinez?
The motion carried 6-1 with Councilor Carson casting the no vote.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to the next item on the agenda, under Human Resources and Risk Management. Second reading and public hearing for ordinance number 2-2024, CERSA Intergovernmental Agreement for Insurance Pool.
Thank you, Mayor. As council is aware, there's been state legislative changes that has made, for any community with a police force, has made it more challenging to find insurance carriers who are willing to provide insurance. When you have that situation from a legislative perspective combined with a few of the claims that we had as it relates to both police, but then we also had a few high claims such as the water treatment plant roof and a few things like that. the city was not able to get anyone to put in a proposal for coverage from a risk management perspective. While we had heard about CERSA through our involvement with the Colorado Municipal League, their process to get signed up is fairly long, lengthy, and challenging. So we had never necessarily done it, but left with no options, we did. Thankfully, the board did approve our application. And it actually is going to save us funding or funds over what was in the budget. So it's about a 34% savings, which equates to almost 124,000. So it's a significant savings for the same type of coverage as far as levels that we previously had. We're also learning quickly that because CERSA only covers local governments, they are very focused on what those needs are. And so they have other types of programs and experts that can help us in other areas as well. So we've been very pleased so far. But it is different than other insurance. Normally, we don't bring other insurance to council. There's no requirement there, but there is a requirement for CERSA because of their structure that we have to sign in with the IGA, the Intergovernmental Agreement. So that is what is before council tonight.
Okay, thank you so very much. Okay, Ms. Sanchez. So we're gonna go ahead and open up we're gonna open up the public hearing for ordinance number 2-2024, CERSA Intergovernmental Agreement for the insurance pool. If we have anyone in the audience who would like to come up and make any comments, feel free to do so. See anyone in the audience? So we're gonna go ahead and go to our Zoom participants, and Ms. Martinez, if you don't mind sharing with them one more time, how that they can raise their hand and we can recognize them.
Sure. If you're on the Zoom app, you'll use the raise hand feature in the bottom of your screen. If you're on a telephone, you're gonna dial *9. I don't see anyone choosing to raise their hand, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Martinez. We'll go ahead and close this public hearing and bring it back to council. Council Carson?
I make a motion that council approve and adopt ordinance number 2-2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not? Please start voting. Think somebody has a stuck one. There you go. Thank you. Ms.
The-
Martinez?
The motion carried unanimously.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to the next item on the agenda, which is committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? We have Councilor Hensley.
So it's kind of a committee that I only did once, but I went and presented at the Water Congress this last week. And I represented Alamosa and the San Luis Valley. And I felt like it went really well. I really talked quite a bit about RWR. And at least 10 people came up after. We're very thankful that I had talked about it, brought it to light, and things like that. So anyway, was able to represent the valley in regards to water.
Thank you for doing that on behalf of the city. We really appreciate that. Councilor Cribs?
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a couple because I think that's just how it fell in January for me. I mentioned Creative District once, I believe, but just to recap that briefly, they're chugging along. The enthusiasm is really high. They've pretty much solidified the boundary, and they're looking for what the next step would be for a timeline and looking at other neighborhoods to see what we can accomplish here. The library board finished their surveys, used it to create a SWOT analysis, and then are using that to create their plan moving forward. And they've actually identified some key things that they felt they could bolster up a little bit, and are working very hard with some outreach programs and getting a new outreach specialist part-time to help accomplish those goals. So the library will be truly accessible to all. And then the Homeless Coalition, we're working on it. It was technically my last meeting, so I'll be turning it over to you guys, but just talking a little bit more about how to best inform and instruct the public on what the situation here is and all the different seats at the table that are dealing with it. So that's all coming together nicely as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Krebs. Councilor Carson?
I just wanted to give kudos to Councilor Hensley. I spoke to some people and they said that you did good at the Water Congress, so good job.
Thank you, Councilor Carson. Okay, that brings us down to staff announcements.
Before we get to the really important staff announcement, I just was going to share that several of us are traveling next week to Denver for the Colorado Municipal League's Legislative Conference. It's always a really great opportunity to get almost a shotgun approach of all of the major legislation that impacts municipalities. And it's a great way for us to help identify those that are of importance to the city, either to support or to oppose, and then to connect with our representatives. So I'm looking forward to our group heading up there and learning more of what to expect for this coming year. And then with that, Mayor, I believe we have a presentation.
Yes, we do have a presentation. Council, last year we started a competition with City Council versus staff and department heads when it comes to the Rio Frio Ice Fest. Last year we were the champions. That's why we're holding the trophy right now. But unfortunately, Council, this year we lost. And we lost bad. I mean, what was the tally?
I think it was 17-9.
So that's like skunked. So I just want y'all to know, I hope this is the last year that we're actually giving them the trophy and next year they're giving it to us. But we're gonna use this as an opportunity to say thank you all for showing up and participating in all the activities. The intent of this competition was to make sure that we had more involvement from City Council as well as staff, and you all really represented this year, and I'm so very proud of you. And the one thing I can say, Heather and I both are very competitive. I think, yeah, I don't even know if she's more competitive than me, but we're right up there. And the good thing about her is when she won, she didn't like come in and brag and throw it in my face or anything. She says, Ty, it was all about my team because I wasn't able to make it. So I thought that was very classy on her part. So I am going to come down here and present this to all of you, including Miss Sanchez. Even though she wasn't there, she still gets to get presented this, all right? All right, let's give them a round of applause.
I'll take the picture. No, you saw it, people like me. And Mayor, I think you should hand it to Joe. You must have made.
Yeah, there is my partner though. He did right there after me, and I know everybody else out there.
Okay, no. Short is a.
We need more people there. Let's little flag on the side. Always next year.
The mayor's saying next year, but I just want to remind 17-9.
Yes.
I think we lost by 2 or 3 points.
All right, that was fun. All right. So there are no other staff announcements? We'll go ahead and go to our council comments. Any comments? Anybody? Councilor Vigil, Jan Vigil.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to welcome Jamie Dominguez to the team. I think you're gonna bring a very, what do you say, a true representation of Ward 4 and that area. And with all the different things that you do, it's just gonna be really, really good for our team up here, and I'm glad to work with you.
Okay, Councilor Jackie Hill? Oh, I thought you pushed your button, okay. Okay, I don't see any other lights, so I'll just wrap things up. Once again, thanks to all the staff and the volunteers and everybody in the community for coming out to Rio Frio activities. It was really great. And I want to thank the council members who showed up and participated as well. And congratulations again, Mr. Dominguez. We're looking forward to working with you. I think you bring a lot of wisdom and insight with you from your experiences, and we're really looking forward to having you on council. Okay, thank you. So if we don't have any other comments, this meeting is officially adjourned, and we're gonna go into work session.